How does knowing one's history impact their future? One group of people from Columbus, Ohio is about to find out. Join them as they go on a tour retracing some of the monumental steps of the Civil Rights Movement. The pilgrimage they will take, spanning 4 days, will show us just how a trip to the past can drastically impact the future. Laws and rules are made for reason based on need. The Civil Rights Act of 1964, enacted by Congress as Public Law 82-352, forbade discrimination on the basis of sex as well as race in hiring, promoting, and firing. In the wee hours of a Tuesday morning, they began their journey as a group, young and old alike, of varying races, colors, and cultures. Their first stop, the National Underground Railroad Freedom Center in Cincinnati, Ohio. They also faced the question, what am I willing to do to continue the plight of freedom and equality in the world today? The next stop, the Martin Luther King Jr. Center for Nonviolent Social Change in Atlanta, Georgia. They sat and stood in reverence and cheer in front of the reflecting pool, honoring the lives and legacies of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his wife Coretta Scott King. As the fountains roared, the lifelong bonds of friendship were galvanized. Inside the center, the group looked at artifacts of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., real articles of his clothing, like the suit jacket, pants and shoes, in addition to photographs of momentous events in his life, remind them that though he did not live long enough to grow old, the man himself did live. On this tour, the message seemed to be sinking in early. The young people on the tour wrote of their journey in their journals. It is also important to remember that inspiring people are often themselves inspired by others. In so doing, Mahatma Gandhi, the leader who changed the plight of life for his people through his commitment to nonviolence, has a place of honor within this exhibit. An unexpected live reminder showed up during the group's time at the center. Tommy Smith of the 1968 Olympics was present for a program and showed us his graciousness. You may recall that this young man also supported the civil rights movement by his show of solidarity. While on the stand to receive the gold medal in the Olympics, he and John Carlos gave a human rights salute on the podium in the ceremony to receive the gold medal in the 200-meter race. Moton Field is home to the Tuskegee Airmen. The group also pointed out that there is an Ohio connection to the Tuskegee Airmen. "These are Tuskegee bricks," the guide proudly said. He was referring to one of the many industrial products of our next stop, Tuskegee University. Prior to the Civil Rights Movement, blacks in America, free and enslaved, understood the importance of a good education. Booker T. Washington and George Washington Carver were important leaders at the university. They believed in the work of a man's hands and believed that the industriousness of blacks would be the saving grace of the people. In Selma, Alabama, the group visited the Voting Rights and Slavery Museums. They reviewed the history of Selma's importance to the movement and participated in a highly emotive reenactment of the slave trade in the U.S. The King Marchers gathered at Brown's Chapel as this year's group did. They also retraced the steps of the march on the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma. At the Rosa Parks Museum, the group learned about many of the details and facts that are not in history books about the Montgomery bus boycott. At the Southern Poverty Law Center in Montgomery, they viewed and reverenced the memorial to the members of the movement who violently lost their lives despite their commitment to nonviolence. They also visited the Dexter Avenue King Memorial Baptist Church. This is the only church that Dr. King served as head pastor. The birth home of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. A humbling stop, the 16th Street Baptist Church, paying homage to the memory of the 4 little girls who lost their lives just prior to their church's celebration of Youth Day, Sunday, September 15, 1963, when the church was bombed by members of the Ku Klux Klan. Kelly Ingram Park, best known for the police's violent attack using dogs who viciously bit children and adults, along with using fire hoses that blew them away, nearly ripping their skin off. Memphis, Tennessee, the Lorraine Motel and National Civil Rights Museums, a somber yet important last stop on our tour. It was surreal for the group to stand in the very place where a great leader who was committed to helping his people gain civil rights using nonviolence was brutally assassinated. We are only calmed by the solace in remembering that Dr. King not only lived among us, he lived like us and continues to live in us.